Hey everyone! In this video, I'm gonna show you how you can take this one base layout into 4 unique weekly spreads in your bullet journal. There's gonna be so many tips and tricks for you on how to customize your bullet journal, so let's just jump right into it. So all of our 4 weekly spread variations is all gonna have the same base layout, and what you want to do to prepare the base is divide each page into 2 columns, and then you're also gonna divide that vertically to create 3 equal rows. So the first weekly spread idea that you could try in your bullet journal is going to be a symmetrical layout. And as the name applies, the idea for this layout is to have a really symmetrical layout. So what I like to do is create 4 squares on each side of the page. In this example, I'm going to be creating the 4 squares on the 2 bottom rows of the page, but you can definitely switch it up. You can leave the middle row as the empty one, or you can even leave the bottom row as the empty one. It's totally up to you. And in a bit, I'm also going to show you the different ways that we can fill up the empty rows. And throughout this video, I'm also going to be showing you different ways that you can create some variety into the boxes in the weekly spread itself. So in this example, one of the ways that you can add some variety in your weekly spreads is to also have different colored boxes. So for example, you can have one that is completely filled in one color, and you can have another one that is in a different color, or just one that is not filled in all the way and just have a colored bordered box. This is already one way that you can create some visual interest into your bullet journal, and it's super simple and it can really work with any theme that you have in your bullet journal. Now, moving on to the different things that you can add into the empty rows in your weekly spread, one of the things that I really like to include is going to be a calendar. This is going to be so simple, but having a monthly calendar just really helps me be able to visualize which week this week is falling on within this month. Especially when it's such a busy month, the time can really fly by and you really want to stay on top of everything, then I find that having a calendar can really be helpful for that. You can also highlight some important milestones or deadlines in your calendar itself, or you can even create a separate section for any events on the weekly spread. Now, I personally like to have my events separated from everything else just to make sure that I have everything I need for that event and that it's really top of mind and that I don't forget it. So what I like to do is also draw a cute little notepad and use that to mark any events. Now, this is also another way that you can customize your bullet journal because you can have so many variations of the different notepad doodles. And if you guys are interested in seeing a video on the different notepad doodle ideas that you can try in your bullet journal, make sure to give this video a thumbs up so I know that you're interested in that video. Also, if you're someone that prefers to mark all of your events in the calendar itself, then you can definitely use this notepad doodles for literally anything else. For example, you can use these notepads as a place to mark down any notes. You can use this to mark down any highlights, any reminders that you have, or you can literally use it as a brain dump or anything else that you want to capture. Now, if you're someone like me and you have a couple of goals or habits that you want to track throughout the week, then something else that you can also include in your weekly spreads is also a mini habit tracker. Now, I know that a lot of people also have a dedicated habit tracker page in their bullet journal, but sometimes I find that I often forget to go back into those dedicated habit tracker pages. So I really love having a small habit tracker in my weekly spread so I remember to track it every day. And let me know if I'm the only one that always forgets to go back into my habit tracker pages, but I found this to be something that has really helped me a lot. Now, for the finishing touches of this weekly spread, I really like to include something that can really tie this weekly spread into the rest of my monthly theme. So for my theme this month, I decided to go with the hot cocoa and cookies theme for December, and so I just decided to go with another doodle, and I just wanted to include this little playlist icon with the stencil just because I thought it was really cute. Now, I know not everyone has monthly themes for their bullet journal, but you can also decorate it with something else such as stickers or washi tape. You can also use this space for an empowering quote that can help you stay motivated throughout the week, or if there's nothing else that you really want to include in your weekly spread, then you can also use some of the space to make all of the other elements bigger in the top. So whether you want to make a bigger habit tracker, events log, or calendar, you can definitely take up more space to do all of that as well. And of course, because there's only 7 days in a week, that means we also get an extra square at the end of this weekly spread layout. And there's a couple of different ideas that you can use for this square. One idea can be to write down all of the unfinished tasks that you want to keep in mind for next week. You can also use this as a space for notes, any of your budgets, expenses, or something else that I really love is using this as a place for my weekly goals. Now for the next weekly spread variation, instead of having one horizontal row that is free, we're gonna have one vertical column that is free instead. So we're gonna start with the same base like we did in the previous one. However, on one page, we're gonna create 4 squares at the bottom of the page, and then on the next page, we're gonna create 3 boxes on one of the columns of the page. Now I really like to go for a layout like this in my bullet journal whenever I want a long continuous vertical space to write on. So this is really good if you want to have an extra to-do list, an extra set of reminders, notes, or even event log on the side of your weekly spread. Now I find this to work really well when you have a super busy week and there's a lot of things that you want to keep in mind. That I found this to be perfect for that. And I actually kind of made a little bit of a mistake when I was setting up the initial base layout of this spread, and now all of my boxes are not the same size in width, but whatever, I'm just gonna keep moving on. And this is just to show you that your bullet journal doesn't always have to be perfect and it can still be just as functional. Now, one of my favorite ways to decorate my weekly spread is actually to create a simple black header and then write the date on top with a white pen. I really love this because it's such an easy way for you to create some contrast in your bullet journal, and it's also such a simple way to add some visual contrast into your weekly spread in a way that can match with any theme in your bullet journal. Now, you definitely don't have to keep it black and white like I did for this example. You can also change it to any other color that fits your personal style or your bullet journal theme, and you can even have a lot of fun by adding in a lot of different colors. You can have a mix match of 2 colors, you can create a gradient effect, or you can even create a rainbow effect just by coloring the different headers in the boxes of your weekly spread. Now, when it comes to decorating the empty spaces of the weekly spread, you can definitely continue to use all of the same things that we already talked about, but I also want to give you some different variations on how you could style the different elements. Now, for example, for the monthly calendar, instead of just leaving it on its own, you can also surround it with a cute little paper doodle like I'm doing in this example here. You can even play around with different notepad doodles or different frames around the calendar, and it just goes to show you that even though you're reusing a lot of the same elements, you can still add a lot of variation so that you don't really get bored of the same doodles over and over again. And because I want to keep my vertical space empty and continuous, I don't want to include any doodles there, so I'm gonna put all of my doodles in the top of the first page. And so in this part, this is where I'm gonna include all of my doodles so that it can really fit with the rest of my bullet journal theme. But as I mentioned before, if you don't have a theme that you're going for, or you're not really in the mood to do any doodles, this is also another great space for you to write down any notes or any of your favorite quotes that can really help you stay motivated throughout the week. Now, when it comes to the long continuous vertical column, you can definitely use this to track one item, or you can definitely split it into different items like I'm doing here. Now, you can keep it really simple and just write out the things that you want to track and then add some colored lines, or you can even get more decorative and create some little notepad doodles if you wish as well. Now, in this example, I'm using it to track my events and weekly goals, but you can definitely switch it up to whatever fits your needs. I find that this is a really great way for you to keep track of your to-do list, or any extra unexpected tasks that might come up, or any notes or additional highlights, just because you have so much space to work with. Now, when it comes to the third weekly spread layout, I like to think of this one as a staircase or even a diagonal as well. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna create 4 squares on one side, and as you can see, we're gonna create the squares in this kind of diagonal fashion that is gonna make it look like it's kind of a staircase from one page to another. Now, what I really like about this layout is that it's a really great way for you to be able to track multiple things that might be completely unrelated to one another. So for example, you can track one thing on one side of the staircase, and then you can track something completely different on the other side of the staircase, and it kind of just gives you that separation by having the weekly spread in the middle. Now, in this weekly spread example, the staircase weekly spread is actually going to separate the different aesthetic that I want to use in my weekly spread. So in the top part of the staircase, I'm going to keep it really simple and minimal. However, on the bottom half of the staircase, that's where I really want to include more doodles and more colors. Now, when it comes to customizing the boxes of your weekly spread, instead of having a colored header at the top of the box, something else that you can do to customize it is also have a colored circle in one of the corners of the box. And again, again, there's definitely a lot of variety and combinations that you can make just by choosing different colors for the circles. But in this example, I'm just gonna stick with the black and white contrasting circles. Now, when it comes to the bottom half of the staircase, I'm gonna take this part to really go all out on my creativity. So this is where I really want to decorate it with a lot of doodles and more colorful designs as well. And of course, you can still definitely keep all of the different elements that I showed you in the previous spreads. So if you want to use this for a habit tracker, an event tracker, or anything of that sort, feel free to do that as well. I kind of just wanted to use this area as a bigger space for me to kind of use it as my drawing. And I kind of like the fact that there is a portion of the drawing on each side of the page so that the weekly spread still feels really cohesive even though they both have completely different elements in them. And let me know if you're someone that likes to draw directly in your bullet journal or if you like to do some of your initial sketches in pencil first. I find that I typically get better results whenever I get to do my sketches in pencil, and I find that's an easy way for me to kind of make any edits before I really go in with my pen. And I know that some people kind of get nervous about bullet journaling because they feel like it has to be perfect, but one way that you can really get around this is to really start by practicing with pencil first, and then you can definitely change it up before it gets really set in stone when you're using a pen. And even if you are using a pen, you've seen me make a couple of mistakes in this video and then I just hide it back with a white pen. So definitely don't be scared to make any mistakes in your bullet journal because they're never really set in stone. So let me know what you like to do when it comes to your drawings in your bullet journal. Do you like to go in with your initial sketches in pencil first, or do you go with your pen right away? Now, because I kind of want to keep all of the visual interest more on the bottom side of the staircase, I'm gonna have a lot of fun with this and draw a really nice frame that is colored, and that can give it a lot of visual interest that if you were just creating a simple box. So this is really simple to do. You can just create a little frame. You can even make some little wire that makes it look like it's hanging onto the wall, and you can definitely have a lot of fun with the frames and have a completely different look depending on the shape of the frame. So you can even go for a circle or oval shaped frame, or even add a lot of details to the corners and edges of the frame to give it more of an interesting visual look as well. And of course, inside the frame you can really use it for whatever you'd like. In this example, I decided to use it as a way for me to track some extra to-do lists that might not fall into my weekly spread. Now, this weekly spread example is a really fun one, and I like to think of it as a scattered layout. And I really like to go for this type of layout whenever I kind of want to track many things that doesn't take up too much space. So this is an option for you if you're not looking to have a long continuous empty space, but rather have small pockets of empty space here and there. So I'm just gonna go ahead and draw 3 squares on one side and 4 squares on the other side. And I'm just gonna choose some random squares around the page. And so as you can see, it kind of gives this randomized scattered look. And if you also want to customize the boxes in your weekly spread, something else that you can do is kind of have a rounded edges to it, and then you can even include the day of the week in one of the edges of the square. So in this example, I kept everything on the top, but you can definitely mix and match it. You can put the letters on the side, you can put it at the bottom, or you can even mix and match it throughout the page to also give it more variety and add to that scattered look. Now, one thing I really like about this layout is that it really gives you the opportunity to create a lot of small doodles instead of having to think about one big doodle that is going to be able to cover up a whole space. Now, instead of doodles, you can also have a lot of fun with your lettering, which is the example that I'm showing you here. You can also add a lot of little embellishments and doodles to really make it pop a lot more as well. And another reason why I really love having a spread like this is that I find that it really helps me maximize the 2 pages of my weekly spread and really helps me get the most out of it. I feel like I'm able to track so many things even though I'm still just using the same 2 pages. So as you can see in this example, we can have one section that is dedicated to our events log, and we can also have another section that is purely dedicated to our habit tracker. So this can be really great for you if you're someone that is keeping track of so many things, whether you're a student and also taking care of a part-time job, or whether you're a mother of multiple kids and you really have a lot of things going on that you need to take care of. I remember that when I first just got started into my bullet journal journey, finding a way to make everything fit into my bullet journal was definitely my biggest challenge. There was always so many things that I wanted to track, and it was really hard to find an efficient way for me to fit everything into 2 pages. So that's why I really love having these different spread variations, because it really does give you a lot of space for you to customize it and be able to track all of the different things that you want to track into your bullet journal. And I'm curious to know if you're also the type that likes to track many things into your bullet journal, or if you're someone that typically just uses your bullet journal mainly for your to-do list and daily tasks. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this video on how you can turn one base layout into 4 different weekly spreads. If you made it all the way to the very end, leave me an emoji of a book in the comments down below so I know who my bullet journal besties are. And if you want even more ideas, make sure to check out this video next for the different types of 2-page weekly spreads you can try in your bullet journal.